it would be worth it considering to really see if you need to pay rent or it's worth buying your own apartment. So this is a bit daunting and a bit disturbing sometimes. And I'm still looking at the questions. Please follow up on any questions if it's not clear, because that's one thing I want people to understand if it comes to the element of real estate acquisition. Okay. I'll keep the rest a bit shorter so that people can really ask questions. But I want you also to think about it because it's something you need to consider. And sometimes you need to start early. Okay. And another element, which is the second part of what we're talking about, is the topic of pension. And if it comes to the topic of pension, a lot of people think, oh, I'm in Germany, it shall be well. I've already told you about the element of gathering bottles. And honestly speaking, I'm going so far that this gathering bottle principle, when at least I reach pension, which will be in about 30 years, 32 years, gathering bottles is not going to be an option. And gathering bottles will be a fight because everyone will be trying to gather bottles if no one is taking care of the future. And honestly speaking, some are parents, some will be parents. I am a parent of one. I ask clients this question: do you really want to get old, miserable, and start begging your children to give you money? God forbid. No choice. No, 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 no. It's not even an option. But at the same time, after working so hard, so tough, day by day, nobody wants to really, really suffer in old age. While you are weak, you don't have the strength. The last thing you want to suffer. So it's something we really need to think about. And the earlier you start something, the better. So based on this, let me just give you a bit of statistics and help you understand the principle of pension here in Germany. So one thing is, and that's the part which is shocking for most people, okay? And is how much you really get when you are a pensioner. Now, if you look at this, okay, this is also based on statistics. If you've been working, imagine your gross income. Actually, I should have translated this. Did I? No, I did not. Your gross income, just underneath 2,500 is your gross income. If that is your gross income for 35 years, the pension you will get is 915 euro gross, estimated. Okay. If your average income was 2,500. Oh, yes. You're seeing it right. From 2,500 to 915. Or if you are lucky to do this for 40 years, which most of us are not, we're talking about 1,046. Okay. And that's the whole point. People don't understand this because you get a pension point and they calculate it for you to see how it works. And that's what would happen if you don't do private insurance, private investment, extra investment, because I'm going to show you an example of the pension document. In the pension document, it will tell you what you need to do in addition to the normal pension because they're not paying all your pension out or they're not paying everything out that you need to survive. And as people know, or as the Bible says, my people perish for the lack of knowledge, which is why we're also doing this seminar. So, as said, questions will come, but the pension system, how does it work? The German pension system is a transferable system. Transferable system means that if you look at the left, working people of working age, that means people who are working today, they will take the they will take it out of your salary, right? They'll take the pension out of your salary. That pension that they're taking out of your salary is not being put aside for you. It's been put in a so-called pot or in a basket or however you want to call it, in a bucket, of which they'll take the money out and pay back the people who are not working, the people who are retired today. They'll give it to them straight with the expectation that when you get to old age, the people who are working at that time would be paying for your pension, which was a great idea in the 60s. Because in the 60s, the proportion was a lot of people were working and not a lot of people were getting old. People died earlier. Now, with medication and all those things, people are living longer. And at the same time, because of medication and all those things, People are not getting babies rough like before. I don't know if you've heard the term baby boomers before. Baby boomers were the people where was those years where people were born a lot. And honestly speaking, the reason why baby boomers were baby boomers are the ones who were born shortly after the Second World War. Imagine you go to the war, you survive, you come back. You come and meet your beautiful wife. Babies are created. And at that time, too, there were not a lot of prevention courses or prevention methods. And something just to keep in mind, just as a picture for you to understand. And the thing is, because the system has not been working as well, and I'll get back to it, because of that, state needed to balance some of it. So they were also putting money into that pot. And I want you all guys to think about how much money do you think last year the state needed to add to this to at least fulfill the needs of the people in retirement today? Is it 100,000, 1 million, 10 million, maybe 1 billion, 10 billion? Just guess. Please feel free to even post it in the chat so we can use like an estimate. But think about it because I'll come back to it while I'm going to visualize what I just explained to you. So based on that, as said, in 62, it was beautiful. It made sense. Everything was on point in the sense that you had six people working who were contributing for one pensioner. So just to keep simple numbers, let's imagine they were taking 200 euro out of every single worker. That means 200 times 6 is 1,200. 1,200 will go to one pensioner. That was in the 60s. It made sense and it did work. Okay. But then, as people were not born as much anymore, a lot of people are career driven. We have now methods of making sure that not every entertainment element becomes a child. It started changing in 2020 to the fact that we actually had, statistically speaking, 1.8 people contributing for one pensioner. I go back from six, over 50 years, to 1.8. And that is where the issue is with this system, with the transferable system. And those results are now coming up more and more. And that's why the pension is becoming less and less. And the state needs to add some on top of it. And based on that, the estimation, which is just an estimation, and it's actually not that far away, is in 2030 that it might be 1.5 to 1. Personally, I don't think it's going to be 1.5. It might be a bit higher because we have some people moving into Germany due to the crisis and so forth. 500,000 was added by the government. Okay, I'm curious to see 500,000, 500,000. Okay, so based on this, back to this actual graph that I'm talked about, and I'm actually going to answer this question. 500,000 is 500,000. 500,000. That's okay. That's five zeros. Did it? Okay. But honestly, and you can Google it. Please feel free to Google it because everything I'm giving is based on statistics. We're not talking about 500,000. We're not talking about a million. We're not even talking about a billion. We are talking about 112 billion euros, which needed to be added today, actually last year, to make sure that all the pensioners today can some way, somehow survive. I repeat, 112, not million, billion. And that's today. And I said things will get worse as time goes on. So the question is, how reliable and how stable can this system work? And I really, because I know we have people here, or I can see your face expression. You want to say something, please?
It's quite surprising because it's a lot of money we're talking about, and still we're having this issue of people not taking going back to work seriously, and thinking, oh, the government is going to pay, and not even thinking of the fact that the pension time inflation is going to affect that as well. And this figure
Mhm.
is alarming, really.
I know the first time I saw it, I first I thought it was a joke. That's what I'm saying. Everyone Google. Just enter Steuern, Zusatz für Rente. You'll find it everywhere. Actually, I don't know why the source is not here, but if you just Google it, and I can see you typing, please Google. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised how much money the state is putting in things like this. But at the same time, if you don't get enough pension, honestly speaking, you will not have the right to complain. Why? Because let me show you this example. Actually, we can skip this because this is showing how much you need to earn and how much you're going to get. I already showed you that. But one thing is, this paper, for people who have been working for at least 5 years and are above 27, there's something called Renten Information. It's written on the left. This Renten Information is a document that informs you about when you are going to get how much pension. I cut it out because obviously data protection, I cannot just show the names of the people, but how much pension you are going to get. Okay. And in this example, this client will go to pension in exactly 30 years. Actually, 30 years and 2 months. Okay. And the average income of this person at this point, okay, gross, is 3,500. And they are saying in this that based on how things are going, the person will get pension about 109 1,912 1,919 euro pension, assuming that the person will be earning this till then. And which is, I didn't mark it here. No, actually, the assumption is your income will increase by 1% yearly. Okay. So based on this, one thing you need to consider is this is 3,500, and please is brutto, gross, brutto. After that, tax are deducted and so on. Keep that in mind. This is not what comes to your account. Okay. And then you're going to get 1,900. There's one, when people see something, oh, 1,900, somewhere, somewhere is okay. And that will take me to the third part, which I'm going to emphasize more is inflation. Guys, don't forget, we have something called inflation. 1,900 euro today. This guy is going back into pension in 30 years. What you can do with 1,900 today in 30 years is like having, oh, I'll show you in a minute. It's nothing. And we're talking about gross. Out of this, in pension, note, in pension, they'll still deduct tax, they'll still deduct Krankenkasse, and they'll still deduct Pflegenkasse. Note, but I'll show you those numbers in a minute. And at the back page of this, they are making, and that's why you cannot blame them and you cannot even accuse them. They'll say at the back page of it, they'll tell you the following. Please consider the fact that the pension might be adjusted over time, Rentenanpassung. Please consider Kaufkraftverlust, meaning loss in value, technically talking about inflation. And please consider the fact that in 30 years, it's like 100 euro today worth only 61 euro. That means what you can buy today with 100 euro, in that time, it's like buying the same thing today with 60 euro. Technically, they're already telling you that over the course of time, their value will depreciate by 39%. Me as an engineer, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to calculate it. When I calculate, I'll say, okay. And that's the funny thing. They are assuming in their calculation of an annual inflation of 1.5. For anyone who knows, 1.5 inflation, even before COVID, we were on average 2.53. And one thing we need to consider about inflation statistics. When we're talking about inflation statistics, all of us, please consider the following. 2 years ago, when you went to Aldi to buy your food, okay, imagine you were spending 100 euro per week or per month, whatever. Would you really tell me that even if they say 9% inflation, did your cost from 100 euro increase to 109 euro? No, it did not. Because when they are talking about inflation, they're putting everything, houses,